Mary had been a maid at the hotel for over a decade, and she had seen it all. Or at least, that's what she thought until she entered room 666. The moment she opened the door, she felt a chill run down her spine. The air was thick, and the room felt different than any other she had cleaned before. The first thing she noticed was the smell. It was a mix of musty and sweet, like decaying flowers. Then she saw the walls, which were covered in a strange, almost hypnotic pattern that made her feel dizzy. Mary felt something watching her, and she couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. As she started to clean the room, she noticed that some things were out of place. The sheets on the bed were wrinkled and stained with what looked like blood, and the furniture was covered in a thick layer of dust. Mary couldn't help but wonder if anyone had stayed in the room recently. As she was about to leave, Mary heard a strange noise. It was a faint whisper that seemed to be coming from nowhere. She tried to ignore it, but it kept getting louder and louder until it became a scream. Mary froze in fear, unable to move or scream. Then, as suddenly as it had started, the noise stopped. Mary gathered her courage and quickly finished cleaning the room, eager to leave as soon as possible. As she was about to exit, she heard a voice behind her. "Mary," the voice said. Mary turned around, but there was no one there. She shrugged it off and continued on her way, but she couldn't shake off the feeling that something was following her. Days passed, and Mary couldn't stop thinking about the strange room. She decided to ask her coworkers about it, but they all avoided the subject, telling her that it was just an old, abandoned room. But Mary knew better. She felt like she was being watched wherever she went, and she couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong. One night, Mary was working late, cleaning the lobby when she saw a figure in the shadows. It was tall and menacing, and Mary could feel its eyes piercing through her. She tried to run, but her legs wouldn't move. The figure approached her slowly, and as it got closer, Mary realized it was the same pattern from room 666. Suddenly, the figure disappeared, and Mary was left alone, shaking and terrified. She knew she had to leave the hotel, but she couldn't quit her job. She needed the money. So, she decided to face her fears and confront whatever was haunting her. Mary returned to room 666, armed with a cross and a Bible. She stood in front of the door, reciting prayers, and waiting for a sign. But nothing happened. She took a deep breath and opened the door. The room was empty, just as she had left it. As Mary was about to leave, she felt a cold breeze brush past her. She turned around and saw the figure again, standing in the middle of the room. This time, it was closer, and Mary could see its eyes. They were black, devoid of any emotion or soul. The figure spoke, its voice raspy and cold. "You should have left while you had the chance," it said. Mary tried to run, but the door wouldn't budge. She was trapped. The figure approached her, and Mary could feel its icy breath on her neck. As she closed her eyes, preparing for the worst, the figure disappeared again. Mary opened her eyes, and the room was empty. She quickly left, never looking back. From that day on, Mary quit her job at the hotel and moved far away, never speaking about what happened in room 666. She couldn't shake off the feeling that the figure was still following her, even after she left the hotel. She became a recluse, staying inside her apartment and never venturing outside. One night, Mary woke up to find the figure standing at the foot of her bed. She tried to scream, but no sound escaped her mouth. The figure approached her slowly, and Mary could see its eyes again. They were still black, still devoid of any emotion. "I told you, you should have left while you had the chance," the figure said. Mary closed her eyes, waiting for the worst. But when she opened them again, the figure was gone. Mary knew she couldn't go on living like this, in fear of something that may or may not exist. She packed her bags and decided to leave the city, hoping to leave her fears behind. As she was leaving her apartment, Mary saw a note on her doorstep. It was written in the same hypnotic pattern as the walls of room 666. Mary's heart skipped a beat as she read the note. "Mary, you can run, but you can't hide. I will always be with you." Mary knew then that she would never be able to escape her fears. She got into her car and drove away, looking back one last time. She could have sworn she saw the figure standing in the distance, watching her go. Mary never returned to the hotel, and the room remained abandoned, a place of fear and terror for all those who dared to enter. And the figure continued to haunt Mary, always watching, always waiting for its chance to strike.